There's a question every trader asks themselves at the end of every session. How did I do today? For most traders, the answer comes from one place: the PnL up, good day down, bad day. And here's the thing. That answer feels obvious, logical, almost the only possible answer. But it's the answer that quietly destroys most trading careers. Because the PnL on any given day, any given week, sometimes even any given month, has almost nothing to do with how well you actually traded. You can have an excellent session and lose money. You can have a terrible session and make money. Both happen all the time. And if you're using PnL to evaluate yourself, you're learning the wrong lessons from both. Today, we're going to talk about what pros watch instead, and how to build the review structure that actually compounds skill. Welcome back. This is episode 19, Arc 3 of the Perp Trading Psychology series. We're 3 episodes in. We covered account identity. We covered honest attribution. We covered sizing discipline. Today is about the daily, weekly, monthly discipline of evaluating yourself as a trader. The thing you actually look at to know if you're getting better. Because skill in trading doesn't come from trading itself. It comes from the review of trading. The setup by setup, decision by decision examination of what you did and why. And what you choose to examine is what determines whether you improve. Quick explanation of why outcome is the wrong primary metric. In a high variance domain like trading, the result of any individual trade is mostly random in the short term. Yes, your strategy has an edge, but that edge plays out over hundreds or thousands of trades. On any single trade, the outcome is dominated by noise. This means a single winning trade doesn't tell you you're skilled. A single losing trade doesn't tell you you're unskilled. The outcome is too noisy to carry that much information. What does carry information is the process. The decisions you made, the reasoning behind them. Whether you followed your plan or deviated. Whether your stop was where it was supposed to be. Whether your size matched your rules. Process is the signal. Outcome is the noise. If you evaluate yourself on outcome, you're chasing the noise. If you evaluate yourself on process, you're tracking the signal. The traders who get progressively better over time are the ones who learn to look at process. The ones stuck at the same skill level for years are the ones still chasing outcomes. The neuroscience of why outcome focus is so seductive is worth understanding. The brain has dedicated circuitry for reward. Whenever you make money, dopamine fires. Whenever you lose money, the threat detection system fires. These responses are immediate, intense, and impossible to suppress consciously. Process evaluation, by contrast, requires deliberate effort. You have to look at the reasoning. You have to compare it to the plan. You have to honestly assess whether deviations happened. This kind of analysis activates the prefrontal cortex, which is slow, energy expensive, and gets crowded out by stronger emotional signals. So in practice, the brain's default mode is react to PnL, ignore process. You have to consciously work against this default every single day. The traders who don't drift back to outcome focus and never escape. The structure of pro-review systems is built specifically to force process evaluation, despite the brain's preferences. Checklists, standardized forms, numerical scoring of decisions, not just dollar amounts. The structure exists because without it, the dopamine wins. There's a specific pattern that wastes years of trader development. The "what did I do wrong?" trap after a losing day. A trader has a losing day. They open their journal and try to figure out what happened. Almost always, the reasoning goes, I lost money. Therefore, I must have done something wrong. Therefore, I need to find what to change. So they look at their trades. They find something. Maybe they entered too early. Maybe their stop was too tight. Maybe they should have waited for confirmation. They make a mental note. Don't do that next time. Next session, they do the opposite. They wait longer. They use wider stops. They demand confirmation. And then they have another losing day. Now they have to find a new thing to change. Over months, this trader has cycled through every possible variation of their strategy. They're never stable. They're constantly tweaking based on the last few days' outcomes. The problem is they're treating noise as signal. The losing days probably weren't because of the things they identified. Variance was going to give them some losing days regardless of execution. The pros do the opposite. After a losing day, they ask, did I follow my plan? If yes, the loss is information about the market, not about my process. I don't change anything. If no, the loss is feedback about discipline, and the fix is to better follow the plan I already had. This single shift in framing from what should I change to did I follow my plan saves years of unnecessary strategy churn. There's a related pattern. The let me try something new trap after a winning day. This is the inverse trap, and it's just as destructive. A trader has a great day. The endorphins are flowing. They start thinking, what if I traded bigger? What if I traded more often? What if I added this other strategy I've been thinking about? Winning days are when expansion seems safe, because clearly what you're doing is working. But what's actually happening is your judgment is biased by recent reward. You're not in a state to make good strategic decisions about long-term changes. The pros use winning days the same as losing days. Did I follow the plan?
Yes. Good.
Continue. Tomorrow you do the same thing. The expansion decisions happen in calm, calculated moments, not in the glow of a green session. This is one of the unspoken rules of long-term trading. Never make strategic changes after a big win or a big loss. Make changes during the boring middle, when your emotional state is neutral. The trader who only makes changes during emotionally extreme moments is constantly oscillating. The trader who only makes changes during calm moments compounds steadily. There's a cultural amplifier worth naming. Public trading content focuses almost entirely on outcome. Tweets are screenshots of PnL. YouTube videos are, I made $20,000 today. The discourse is built around results. This creates massive distortion in what new traders think trading looks like. They think trading is a results-driven activity where every day either validates or invalidates your skill. The reality is, trading is a process-driven activity where every day is mostly noise, and the validation only emerges across hundreds of trades. This mismatch is why so many new traders quit within a year. They keep waiting for the results to feel like success. The results, even in a profitable strategy, look mediocre on most days. The traders who needed daily validation cannot tolerate this. They quit and assume they failed. The traders who internalize the noisiness and learn to look at process instead survive the early phase. They stop expecting daily validation. They start tracking weekly process scores instead. The dopamine system gets retrained. This retraining is most of what separates traders who make it past year 3 from traders who don't. There's a leverage angle that intensifies the outcome trap. On perps, the daily PnL is much louder than on spot. A 10x trader can have a 5% down day from price moves alone, even with reasonable trades. A 5% down day on perps is roughly equivalent to a 50% down day on spot in emotional terms. This means the noise to signal ratio in your daily PnL is even worse on perps than on regular trading. A perp trader trying to evaluate their process via daily PnL is essentially trying to read tea leaves. The signal is buried under amplified noise. This is why long-term perp traders are unusually disciplined about process metrics. They've learned that the daily account swings will lie to them about how well they traded. They have to look at something else. Entry quality, plan adherence, stop discipline. To actually know. The shift from "did I make money today" to "did I make good decisions today" is more urgent for perp traders than for any other group. So how do you actually build a process-focused review structure? 3 practical rules. 1. Score every trade on process, not outcome. After each trade, before you look at the PnL, ask yourself, did I follow my plan? Was the entry where I said I'd enter? Was the stop where I said it would be? Was the size what I planned? Score the trade on a simple scale. Maybe 1 to 5. 5 means perfect plan adherence regardless of result. A losing trade with a 5 score is a good trade. A winning trade with a 2 score is a bad trade. Most traders find this framing uncomfortable at first, because it requires accepting that you can do everything right and still lose money. But that acceptance is the foundation of professional trading. The market doesn't owe you a win for good behavior. Your job is to behave well over enough samples that the edge plays out. 2. Review weekly, not daily. Daily reviews encourage outcome focus because the daily noise is overwhelming. Weekly reviews let you look at process patterns. Did you size correctly this week? Did your entries match the plan most of the time? What was the average process score? These questions are answerable at the week level. In a way, they aren't at the day level. Save the deep review for 1 consistent time per week. Saturday morning works for many traders. The rest of the week, just close positions and log trades. No emotional reviews after each session. 3. Monthly performance review on the actual statistics. Once a month, look at the full statistics. Win rate, average ARPA trade, maximum drawdown, process score average. This is where you assess whether your edge is real and whether your discipline is intact. If process scores are high and win rate is below expectations, the issue is the strategy itself or the market environment. If process scores are low and the strategy isn't working, the issue is execution discipline. If both are good, you're trading well. Make no changes. Keep running. Most traders never do this monthly review. They never separate edge issues from discipline issues. They blend them together in their head and end up changing the wrong thing. The pros separate them cleanly. They know exactly which problem they're solving when they make adjustments. There's a flip side worth knowing. When you commit to process focus, your daily emotional swings drop dramatically. A bad day at the desk used to feel like a referendum on your trading ability. Now it just feels like a sample point in a long sequence. A good day used to feel like validation. Now it just feels like a sample point in a long sequence. The reduction in daily emotional volatility is one of the underappreciated benefits of process discipline. It makes trading sustainable. You can do this work for decades without getting emotionally exhausted by the constant up and down judgments of yourself. Traders who stay outcome focus burn out faster, not because the work is harder, but because the emotional content of every day is more extreme. Traders who shift to process focus become almost boring to talk to. Their week was fine. Their plan was followed. Tomorrow they'll do the same thing. This boring sameness is what professional trading actually looks like. Most days are forgettable. The compounding happens in the background. The drama is reserved for the rare moments when something genuinely unexpected requires real decision-making. To summarize today's episode, outcome is the noise, process is the signal. In a high-variance domain like trading, daily and weekly outcomes are dominated by randomness, while process is the only thing carrying durable information about skill. The brain defaults to outcome focus because the dopamine response to wins and losses is immediate. Process review requires deliberate effort against this default. Structure, checklists, scoring systems, fixed review schedules is what makes process focus sustainable. The two traps to avoid are changing strategy after losing days and expanding after winning days. Both are reactions to noise treated as signal. Pros only make strategic changes during calm, neutral moments. The three rules: score every trade on plan adherence regardless of outcome, do reviews weekly, not daily, and do the full statistical assessment monthly to separate edge issues from discipline issues. Underneath all of this is the same theme of Arc 3. The traders who last a decade aren't the ones with the best individual moves. They're the ones whose evaluation systems track skill instead of noise, whose daily lives don't ride the emotional roller coaster of every session, whose improvement happens slowly and quietly, but reliably across years. In the final episode of Arc 3, the next one, we're going to bring all of this together. The 10-year trader mindset. What changes in someone who has been trading for a decade versus someone who has been trading for 1 year? It's not the technical skills. It's not the indicators. It's something much deeper, much harder to articulate, and impossible to fake. We're going to articulate it. Appreciate you all for listening. If this episode found you reviewing your day by your PnL, take the lesson seriously. The number on the screen at the end of the day is mostly noise. The decisions you made are the signal. Track the signal. Ignore the noise. It is the only path to long-term improvement. Subscribe and share with anyone whose self-evaluation is too tied to their daily results. And I'll see you guys in episode 20. Start trading now on Mosey Finance. Trade perps everywhere with one dashboard. Link in bio.